Good morning, everyone. I'm Jason Elstrup, the president of Downtown Madison, Inc., and welcome to the 2020 DMI State of the Downtown event. We are so thankful you all are here for our first ever virtual event. Obviously, we're disappointed we're not at the wonderful foyer of the Overture Center this year, but we are thankful for all of you for being here today. Welcome. We've got a lot happening. Hope you all enjoyed the great networking session with Remo. I know I was able to get to most tables very quickly and say hi to everybody, but it was nice to see everyone in a virtual format. Most importantly, hope you're all doing well and staying healthy. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. This would not be possible if it wasn't for all of the great sponsors we just saw on the preceding video. Thank you so much for all you do to make sure that the work of DMI keeps moving forward. But we're particularly thankful for our friends at Michael, Best, and Friedrich, our presenting sponsor here today. They've done an amazing job making sure that this platform is working and that we've got their report that's going to be coming your way soon. Hope you're all doing well. Now we're going to kick off today's event. Before we begin that program, though, with a presentation and a statement from our friends at Michael, Best, and Friedrich, Kevin Martin, a partner at the firm and a DMI board of director, is here to say a few words. Kevin, hope you're doing well and welcome.
Thank you, Jason, so much for the. Happy to say my camera is working and hopefully everyone can see me well. As Jason mentioned, I'm a partner at Michael, Best, and Friedrich in our real estate practice group. I'm also a member of DMI's board of directors and I'm honored to have the opportunity to address you all today. Michael Best is a proud partner of DMI and excited to sponsor this year's State of the Downtown. Although it's undoubtedly been a difficult year for the downtown, we are excited to hear about all the positive growth and progress our community has made this past year and plans for contributing that trend forward. At Michael Best, we take pride in contributing to the continued success of our community and joining in the growth of the downtown. As a real estate attorney, I enjoy looking around the city and seeing projects in development and recently finished projects on which we've worked, and having that strong sense of connection to the community and pride in what we've collectively accomplished. Our colleagues at the Venture Best Group work with startups and cutting-edge technology companies, creating jobs, cementing Madison's reputation as a regional, if not national, technology center, and making Madison one of the highest-ranking communities in quality of life consistently. We're also focused on diversity, inclusion, and fostering community benefits through our own recruiting, our commitment to pro bono projects within the community, and through our involvement in tax credit projects, facilitating much needed affordable and workforce housing, community centers, and other beneficial programming, which would not be possible without state, federal, and municipal grants and financing. When I moved to Madison in 2010, it was not such a great time to be starting a career in the real estate world. Many of us wondered how long it would be until economic development and growth and real estate development expansion would return. It's been spectacular to witness and be part of a phenomenal recovery of this community and growth into what it is today. Although I've lived in many different cities and parts of the country in my life, I am glad to call this vibrant, diverse, and progressive city and community my home and be happy to be a part of a firm that has helped guide it in that direction. Now I'll turn it back over to Jason to introduce our panelists.
Thank you very much, Kevin. We really cannot thank you all enough at Michael, Best, and Friedrich for your premier sponsorship of this event. This has been years you guys have been a part of this event, and this really is one of our two signature events of the year to make sure we get the data and the information to our members about what is happening downtown. Obviously, this has been a very difficult year, but we have a great panel here to discuss it. Before we do that, we want to make a few other thank yous, because this is a huge effort to put this report on. There are so many people that go in to it and give us so much great information. First, I want to say a huge thank you to the DMI team, John Tremelia and everybody for putting this year's report together, but also the City of Madison, CBRE, Craig Stanley and the team at Broadwing. So many people have spent so many hours to make sure we have the data for this year's report. Right now, we're going to launch it in the chat section, a virtual copy of the 2020 report. There it is. Madeline is perfectly on time, so you'll see a copy of that report. It's on a great new platform as well, where you can look at the report, zoom in, zoom out. You can create a PDF of the report, send it to your friends. We'll have it there. We'll also have it on our website. We can send out a copy to anyone that needs it. Lots of great information in that report. I will note that much of the report, though, is based on 2019 information, as is normal. That's where we have the full information. But since March, everything in downtown and everything in our country has changed. And so we were able to add a few pages at the end to have some relatively real-time information about what is happening with COVID-19. And so you'll see great information from the MPO, pedestrian counts, bus counts, information that we have on COVID-19. But obviously much of the data of the terrible effects of COVID-19 won't be available until next year's report. But please do take a look at all the great information in the first few pages and then the COVID section at the end. In addition to the release of this year's report, we're very excited to gather an esteemed panel of experts to talk about the major challenges and the opportunities happening in downtown right now. This discussion will hopefully further inform you about what is happening as we move downtown forward. With that, I am so thankful to introduce, we've got 5 wonderful panelists. First and foremost, we've got Dr. Ruben Anthony, the President and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Madison. We have Brenda Gonzalez, the Director of Community Relations for the University of Wisconsin at Madison. We've got Tiffany Kinney, the Executive Director of Madison Central Business Improvement District. Our great the Executive President of Destination Madison. And Matt Wachter, the Director of Planning, Community, Economic Development of the City of Madison. He's got lots of titles. We've got lots of great friends, lots of board members here today. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Brenda. Welcome, Diane. Welcome, Matt. Welcome, Ruben. And welcome, Tiffany. How are you guys? All doing well. We'll just assume they're doing well since nobody responded to me, but we're just assuming everyone's shaking their head. They're all happy because we made them get up at 7:30 this morning. Well, I probably got up at 5 to get ready for 7:30. We've got a great panel discussion. We're going to be able to take your questions. We want this to be a discussion. So the first about 30 minutes, we're going to have a conversation with all of the great panelists. We want to open this up to questions from the audience. So if you look on your right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a Q&A function. If you enter your questions in the Q&A function, I will ask those at the end. You're also able to amplify people's questions by hitting the arrow up if you also agree with that question and you want that question asked. So again, start sending your questions in now because at the end of today's presentation, we are going to have Q&A. Send in those Q&As on the right-hand side of the screen. Obviously, to start off the conversation, 2020 has been a very difficult year for downtown, for Madisonians, for the Wisconsinites, for everyone in America. It's been very hard. A lot of people suffering. Like so many communities across the country, our downtown is facing extraordinary challenges, but also opportunities that will impact our community for generations to come. So the first question to all of you guys is, what do each of you see as the greatest challenges and the greatest opportunities for our downtown, specifically when it relates to your organization? So Matt, we're going to start with you. The City of Madison, what do you see as the greatest opportunities and the greatest challenges right now for downtown?
Sure. So I guess I'll start with challenges, do the negative piece first. So, I think we all know this, but right now, we're facing compounding, reinforcing crises, in public health, in jobs, housing instability, economic inequality, racial inequality. And what COVID has done is really just sharpened all of these issues and has highlighted, all of the weaknesses in our systems as a city, as a community. And I'd say that, one of the biggest challenges for downtown is just that any issue in downtown now is competing with all of these crises that are happening at the same time, and they're happening all across the city. And as an organization, we are putting out fires and dealing with issues everywhere. And it's all in a time where we have reduced resources. The federal government isn't helping us right now. The state is strapped, and local funding is tighter than it's been maybe ever. So this is a challenging environment that we're in. And I would say, the opportunity, the bright spot here is that the other thing it's done is really focused our community on those issues in jobs, in housing instability, economic inequality, racial inequality. And I'd say that we are working together better than maybe we ever have before. I mean, Jason, you know this, as soon as the crisis happened, the chamber, DMI, Game by Local, the Black Chamber, Latino Chamber, Destination Madison, we were convening on a regular basis. We were, all rowing in the same direction in a way that I don't think has ever happened before. And that's pretty amazing. I'd say also, you look at things like the city and the county focusing on homelessness. We are in lockstep dealing with the immediate crisis, but looking at, long-term solutions to some of these problems that were there before, before COVID. Dr. Anthony and I are probably on the phone together every week, talking about, a new initiative, a new program, how we can work better together. So I'd say that's the real opportunity that's in front of us as a city, in front of downtown, is the way that we can work together better than we ever have before.
Yeah, Matt, thank you. I couldn't agree more. On honestly, the challenges we have, there is so much at play right now. Every time we think that the downtown might be getting stronger, the city might be getting stronger, the hole seems to get deeper. But I also love your comment about the upshot, that a lot of the groups are working well together. And I want to take the question next to Dr. Anthony, because as you mentioned, there's been some great partnerships between the city, the county, and the Urban League. And as many of you know, Dr. of the DMI board for years. So Dr. Anthony, what do you see as the challenges and opportunities for downtown?
Yeah, so as Matt laid out, we've got a triple pandemic going on right now, where as it relates to African Americans in this country. We've got the health, where African Americans are facing higher incidence of mortality and just higher incidence of COVID, just in general. You have the economic crisis, where a lot of African Americans are essential workers, and so even though they're getting low wages, they have to go in to do the work. And then we have the racial incidents that downtown has been the epicenter of, where people come to protest when they're mad about anything. And so there's a lot of work to do, as Matt laid out. The good thing is that the city and the county have been great partners to the Urban League and helping us create jobs. So has the philanthropic, arm of Madison. Corporations and other entities have continued to give to help, during this time. But, we have to focus on the downtown. If we talk about some of the challenges that we face there, people in Madison, Black people in particular, are concerned about not seeing anything specifically for them, in the downtown area or in Madison in general. And so I've been here for 33 years now. And so I still, would love to have a place, first came into the city, there was a bar called Pearlie's, and, Black people could go there and convene and know that you could get like some ribs or some other things that.
Oh, I think we must have had an internet issue there. We will get back to Dr. Anthony. He was right in the middle of a great story too, unfortunately. We're going to move on to Brenda. Obviously, the University of Wisconsin, a lot happening here. What are the challenges and opportunities that University of Wisconsin sees for downtown? You guys are a major part, such a huge economic driver, not just for the region, but really for downtown. Brenda, also, just if you don't know Brenda, just an absolutely fantastic person, also on our board of directors. So a lot of opportunities, but a lot of challenges for UW when it comes to downtown.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason. I'm so excited to be here and being able to reach out to many of friends that I know are present here, but many people that I don't know. I think it is important to start making those connections and really connecting the opportunities with underrepresented communities that we hope to feel a little bit more connected to downtown. As Jason mentioned, my name is Brenda Gonzalez. I'm the Community Relations Director at UW-Madison, and I have been in this community for about 20 now 5 years, I think. As much as I love Madison, I know I still feel disconnected. I think that I was connecting with the story that Dr. Anthony was mentioning in terms of when do you come to downtown Madison? So it's really important to, I guess, bring my whole self to this presentation because a lot of it will show in terms of what I see from my employer, right? UW-Madison. Certainly, I don't speak for every unit. As you can imagine, it's a whole world in there. As many of you know well, being alumni, Badgers, or connected to the university. You know the challenges that we have had. We have been on the news. We have been collaborating, as Matt has said, with many of the areas and units in organizations in the city, because we want to make sure that our students are safe, but our employees are safe. Our staff also play a big role in the economic influence that we have as the university as a whole, with more than 65,000 altogether from students and staff. So I think it is really important to think about, what else can we do to continue to connect, to continue to work together, and what else can we do to improve downtown diversity and inclusion. I'm so excited that I'm part of the board, ex officio, but I'm part of the board. But also I'm included in some of the other efforts that I think is important to look at the opportunities and challenges that you're mentioning, bringing information from UW-Madison, of course, but I'm excited to be also in the work that DMI is starting to do, or that has done for a little while. I'm talking about the Inclusiveness Committee, for example. I'm so excited to be able to connect with Mark Richardson, that is the chair right now for that committee. So I know that you're thinking about some of these things. So how can we bring information that we know at UW-Madison with the diversity that we bring from students and staff to the table? Also, I know that we are going to learn more about the Challenge Committee, and I'm excited to be able to also connect with Winnie Karanja, that is the chair of that committee. I'm so excited that I know that we are starting to change systems, that we are going to be strategic about how we bring all of the collaborators together. I know that we can go into more opportunities and challenges, but I'm excited to be able to know and know that we have the opportunity to work together. Thank you, Jason.
Well, Brenda, thank you for your work. I mean, UW is such an important part, and to know you're part of our downtown and our team, we're very thankful for your work on the Challenge Committee, on the downtown group, and as well, I think, for continuing to make sure that the students are part of our community. I think they add so much vibrancy to downtown. We could not be more thankful for your tireless work in those efforts. Now, when it comes to certainly more of the challenges, one of the areas we've really seen that in is in tourism. And obviously, this has been a tough year since March. And Diane Morgenthaler, who does great work with the Destination Madison group to try to bring people in, certainly has seen what are the challenges. Obviously, you've seen, you'll see some of that in our report, but really, what are the opportunities as well for moving the tourism economy forward in Madison?
Thank you, Jason. I'm really happy to share some information with this group so people understand the extent to which tourism really impacts our community. We're very reliant in tourism for business travel, group travel, sporting events, all of which are basically not happening right now. So we've been very active rebooking business into future years, working with our clients to cancel. We have had to process 96 event cancellations to date for 2020 and a little bit into 2021. And that represents almost $57 million in economic impact, direct spending here in the community. And we're not even including World Dairy Expo or some of the WIAA events that we count on year after year. So recovery for us is going to be really critical, but it's going to look a little different. We really need to work with public, private, to create sustainable safety protocols for a really diverse array of businesses. Our hotels are not like our restaurants. Our restaurants aren't like Overture. Overture's not like Monona Terrace. And yet many of our types of businesses are sort of clumped together in terms of the protocols that are in place right now. So we really need to work on those. And most importantly, we really need to rebuild confidence that it's safe to travel, that it's safe to come downtown and do things, that it's safe to come into our community. And that's confidence is going to be really critical in the recovery. I will tell you that the economists in our industry are basically saying this is a 3-year road till we really get back to business. I won't even say as usual, but business in whatever form it will be. So we really need to sustain our businesses and support our businesses so that we have the vibrant downtown that our visitors count on when they come here. It's what makes us so special for visitors. And so for us, really working with the businesses downtown to make sure that they survive is going to be really critical. On the bright side, I'm going to echo what Matt and Brenda have already said. The collaborations that are being established are huge, and we're working better together and more synergistically than we ever have. And I would say that goes beyond the city. We also represent throughout Dane County other municipalities. We're working on bringing all of their chambers to the table on a regular basis. We've done joint promotions with them on safety, on outdoor adventures, things that people can do. And I think that's been really positive. And I am really looking forward to continuing those dialogues. The other thing that I see that we've done is we've tried a few new things that I hope will stick. One, we've encouraged people to get outside and really take advantage of our fabulous outdoor assets that we have. We have amazing parks. We have amazing lakes. Even in today's paper, there's an article about outdoors and tourism and the study that they've just done. And it's just a phenomenal thing for us to remember that this is part of our fabric of our community. And how do we make that more accessible and more enjoyable for all as we go forward? The other thing I love is thinking outdoors were things that were tried, like the Streetery program. That was a help, not a final solution for our restaurants, but how can we use our outdoor spaces more creatively? How can we use them for music? How can we use them for art and other gatherings that will welcome people into our community? And I think the key is we've really identified, as all of you have said, there's a big divide that has become, it's definitely much more prominent now, the inequities in our community. And so it is an amazing opportunity to step into to really reimagine our whole community as we go forward. So I'm excited about the conversations, the collaborations. Those are the silver lining here, and the opportunity to really do some new and exciting things. So thank you for inviting me to be part of this panel and to share some of what we're working with and to be part of this collaboration.
Thank you. For years, Destination Madison has been a great partner. Certainly, tourism, hospitality, the retail sectors, it's really a difficult time. Our report says, I think it's about $304 million in economic impact in tourism just downtown. So just downtown. That is a huge number. And unfortunately, that means that there's a big loss right now in downtown. Just want to take a quick note. We are working to get Dr. Anthony back on, working very hard to get that to happen right now. I think our team, Madeline, is working very hard behind the scenes to get Dr. Anthony back. So I apologize because he was in the middle of a very important story. So I hope we do get him back. I want to go to my friend Tiffany on the question about challenges and opportunities. We have Madeline here.
Okay, this is kind of odd, but I'm going to try and hold up. I have Ruben here on FaceTime. And so for this camera, I'm just going to hold up Ruben. And
oh my God.
I hear responses from Ruben this way. Jason, do you have Ruben now, or should we just kind of have Ruben pick up where he left off?
That would be amazing. And look, guys, technology is not perfect. DMI is trying to pivot literally in the moment. Madeline, you are the best. Seriously. Dr. Anthony, you were telling an amazing story about a place you used to go downtown. We would love to hear that story and pick it back up. Dr. Anthony, welcome back. This is amazing. Hello, Dr. Anthony.
Jason, I do apologize for the technical failure. I'll tell you again, as we talk about the challenges downtown, we really do need to find a way to make Madison a place for everybody. And so it's going to take some work for us to get there. And I think maybe we have to look at how other cities across the nation are getting it done. And just as everybody, who loves their city, they want to be able to identify with that city, African Americans, Latinos, and others feel like they need to have a space in the downtown area. There needs to be a welcome sign there so that people can cherish the downtown. I'm a unicorn, and I'm an urban planner, and so I like a lot of what goes on there. But I think that there's some work to do to make it an attractive place for where others come. I know that I've seen for 3 decades, young African-American professionals, including one of my children, find that, Madison is not the place for them because they don't see the welcome signs that they need to really say that, we really want you here. So we got some work to do there, and I'll stop there.
Anthony, you're absolutely right. For downtown Madison to be a truly vibrant, equitable, and inclusive place, it needs to be welcoming for all. We heard a great presentation by our annual dinner speaker, Heather McGee, and Angela Russell on that exact same subject. Please, thank you for that great, important information. And I absolutely, Madeline, you are a lot of comments about how your arm's going to get very tired, but we're very appreciative for the assist. This is a team effort. Oh boy, Tiffany. We were talking right before Dr. Anthony came in about tourism downtown, and you and I both know how important tourism is, how important the residents are, how important events are downtown, and how important the business workers are, right? A quarter of all of the city's team that work for the city, so 250,000 people total work in our city, 75,000 of those work downtown. And unfortunately, none of them are there right now. And so there aren't a lot of people in downtown. So what are the challenges that your retailers, your restaurants, and your hotels, what are they facing now? But then also, hopeful, what are the opportunities that you see moving forward?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jason, and thank you for having me today. It was about 5 years ago I had just started in this job that I got to be on this panel. So 5 years, a lot has changed. And I just wanted to maybe share a story of personal insight also. So just like Brenda, 25 years ago, I come to Madison, Wisconsin. But I come to Madison, Wisconsin from Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. And I had a Black and Puerto Rican roommate. And I loved the diversity of Madison. So I think like all of you, we've actually had quite a shakeup in our personal understanding of what it's like to be a Madisonian, what it's like to live in this community, and to understand that there is a great deal of individuals and people in our community who are hurting and need some more love and attention. So that's my personal story. Professionally, as Jason pointed out, it's a really challenging time, as we're actually all talking about. It's a really challenging time downtown. I'll share a few numbers with you. I represent the business and property owners in downtown Madison. Mainly it's the property owners. They pay a tax assessment and they ask us to work to market and promote downtown as a whole. So our job is sort of like marketing, promotion, Facebook fun. That's usually our job. That's not been the case this year. 2020 is definitely not the year we had planned for. Our downtown's a little bit battered, a little bit bruised. Our store owners, they're struggling. Our ambassador interactions, that's something that we track and we've been doing since Mary Carbine, I see her on our chat, had put this program in place. We have a great ambassador program. They interact with visitors downtown. They work in that little visitor center at the 400 block of State Street. And normally at this time, they would have had more than 20,000 interactions. The number as of September 30th was 1,800 interactions. Our pedestrian counts on State Street, so we keep track of the pedestrian counts by block. Pedestrian counts are down 50 to 70% per block, 70% being the Overture block. The block that's not down in foot traffic is the 100 block. And as Dr. Anthony pointed out, the 100 block has always been the place for civil discourse, discussion, political conversations, protests. So their foot traffic is up. I don't know if their sales are up in that area. And sales are dramatically down for our retailers. 2019, we had the unfortunate incidents surrounding the power plant at MG&E on Maxwell Street days, the busiest shopping day of the year for everyone in 2019. So 2020, which would be the 21st year of the Business Improvement District, we just renewed ourselves. We were really looking forward to a vibrant 2020 and to make up for things like Maxwell Street days. But sales are down, traffic is down. I want to give you a few numbers about the district as a whole. We are down with 49 vacancies. 24 are closed businesses that have closed since May 31st. 10 businesses, so these are additional numbers, I'm sorry, if you want to add those together. 49 vacant, 24 closed. 10 are calling it temporarily closed. That's a new category for us. Some seasonal areas have that, we don't. But there are businesses, and I'll share one example, Samba Brazilian Grill, who feels like with the loss of students, the loss of graduation, with the loss of all those holiday parties, they're closing down seasonally. So we hope they come back. This is the densest local area for our local businesses. You all know that local shopping and local businesses are really important to our economy. So, I mean, I think that's where when I start to, I want to give you the landscape. It's down, it's not good, we need some support. What I want to say is, and I want to echo what everyone has said here, is that we all got out of our silos of the work we were doing, and we're working much better together. We're doing so much better together. And I want to appreciate some relationships that have formed this year, like those, I mean, even just here on this panel, talking with Brenda, Diane, Dr. Anthony, but also folks with the Latino Chamber of Commerce, the Black Chamber of Commerce. Camille has come forward as just a great friend to talk about what do we need to do to change the future of our downtown. And so when you talk about, what is the opportunity, I want to just, we'll get to those and some other questions. So what I want to say is right now, what I'm worried about is now. So right now is really what I'm worried about. I don't think we want to have that loss of our small local businesses. I'm worried about Fontana, Little Luxuries, Soap Opera, Art Gecko, the list goes long. I'm really worried about the loss of our specialty restaurants, our small, unique restaurants. We have a food culture here, a community about us surrounding our restaurants. It's what people come to visit us for, right, Diane? I'm worried about that lost visitor money, the lost student money, the lost university money, the lost employee money. And I think for this group, it's really important that we think about the decreased property values. I hate conversations where we want to really make sure we're talking about equity and inclusion, and we have to talk about property, but we do. Because if we see a decrease in those property values, which is one of our big fears, is that people can't fill those spaces, that means there's loss of tax revenues that go into those services that we can provide. So we all want a strong, vibrant downtown. We want those tax assessments high. My property owners maybe don't want me to say that, but you know what I mean. We want that money coming into our community to help support all these programs that we're working on. And so, one last thing I'm worried about, I don't want those property values to go down so somebody else comes in from out of town and buys them. Right now, what we are really fortunate with is that we have invested, involved property owners. They care about this community. They can't put this all out there publicly because they have so many different relationships and leases and things, but you would be amazed at the steps that our property owners are taking to try to keep our small businesses intact, taking losses of 12 months rent, not no problem, but figuring it out, because they'd rather take that small loss on the front end than lose one of these great restaurants or one of these great businesses. So those are the things I'm worried about. The things I'm looking forward to, we'll talk some more about, but mostly it is this coalition and collaboration and opportunities to work together in a better way for a better community.
I just want to say personally from all of us at DMI, Tiffany, your work has been exemplary. We think that we're starting to see a better light. Things get worse, right? There's unfortunately more property damage. There's COVID, the uncertainty of COVID, right? The ups and downs of COVID. But the businesses are taking this situation very seriously, particularly on the COVID side. And they're doing everything they can to build trust and build consumer confidence so that you can shop safely. If it's online, if it's delivery, if it's modified services, whatever it is, so many of these businesses, it's in their ethos to make sure that they stay safe on a COVID related to keep all of our customers there. So keep supporting downtown. That's what we can do now. Each of us can buy more things downtown. You can order another meal downtown. Whatever it takes, we need it because it's always harder to get a new business in than it is to find one. And so Tiffany's work has been exemplary. One of the things I think was weaved throughout all of this, and maybe we'll get Dr. Anthony back again. I don't know if Madeline's arm was just tired and she's going to come back up again, but is for me, you're asking, you shall receive. So we'll start with Dr. Anthony on this question because we don't want Madeline to get too sore. For us at DMI, we really see this as, look, we have a lot of challenges right now. There's COVID-19, which is just so uncertain and so much happening. There's the incredible social justice movement, but there has been property destruction as well. But to me, all of these things are changing how our society is. These three events, what Dr. Anthony talked about, have maybe created an opportunity where we're not just recover, not just let's not do that, reimagine and cast a new vision for downtown. So how do we, Dr. Anthony, reimagine a downtown that is vibrant, that is inclusive, that is equitable for everyone, so that it truly is the center city for our entire community?
Yeah, so I think that we have to bring African American, Latinx, and other people to the table early. And one of the things that we have to understand, too, that sometimes it might be difficult, to bring people to the table, and to understand that African Americans are not homogeneous, and that even among us, the young African Americans have a vision for what they like to see downtown. Older African Americans have a vision for what they want to see. And so we have to make sure that we have a representative way of bringing folks to the table. One of the things that we also have to do is we have to bring the right experts, to make sure a representative voice across African Americans. And I can tell you that when we want to bring a museum downtown, we bring in a museum expert, someone that knows. And even if they're from out of town or wherever, we bring the best folks in. We need to do that. We need to bring in the best consultants from around the country to look at, how other cities make their downtown work for African Americans and other minorities. And so, I have the vision for the downtown where, like I do when I go to other cities. When I go to Milwaukee, they have a place called Coffee Makes You Black. Coffee Makes You Black, I can go in there and I know I can get some catfish and maybe some cabbage or collard greens, and I feel at home there. They have the Speed Queen barbecue. I know I can go there. When I go back to Harlem or New York, kind of where in the areas that I grew up, you've got Sylvia's there, where I know that I can go get a soul food dinner. You have the Apollo there. I know that is for us. And I think that, Madison won't really ever be a welcoming place until we give people a prominent seat at the table. I think that just like when we talk about developing along John Nolan Drive, and we bring a group together to talk about how to develop that lakeshore for the future, I think that we have to not just talk about it, but I think we have to make an investment, bring in good consultants, and bring African Americans around the table early so that we can help you envision about, not how we rebuild a downtown, like you said, but also how we might reimagine it in a way that it's more inclusive. And that is how we make progress. If we don't do that, we get the same of what we have. And as I said earlier, I've been here for 33 years, going on 34 years, and I'm an urban planner. I love a lot of what goes on downtown. I love coming down to the farmers market, on Saturdays. I miss it this summer, so I'm going to the one on the west side. But I'm an anomaly. I'm a unicorn. But I've been here long enough. I've found a way to make it work. But I don't have to find a way to make it work in other cities. If I go to Atlanta, New York, or even Milwaukee, they have made the investment to make it a more comfortable place for African Americans. And we have to stop talking, about stuff and really making it happen. We have to make the investment. Bring in, an African American consulting firm that knows how to do focus groups with young Black people, middle-aged Black people, and help craft that vision. If we really want to make it happen, let's make the investment. And I'll stop there.
Anthony, you're absolutely salient with all of your points about how we have to bring people early to understand what our community needs. You brought up one specific project that I think, and Diane, I want to dovetail on that. Again, the lakefront property, the Lost Park, Monona waterfront is a huge area. And the great work that already is starting with Annette Miller and Melissa Huggins and the team to revision what that looks like. How can we, use projects like the Nolan Waterfront and the Monona Waterway to really help build tourism in our city to get even more people here? How do you see a reimagined downtown, Diane?
Sure, thank you. For one, I think it is taking advantage of not only all the things that we are underutilizing, like our waterfront, but it is, as Dr. Anthony said, getting the right people at the table, because these need to be community assets that welcome our community to use them first and foremost. And then it's great that visitors will find them attractive, but it will also be more attractive to a wider variety of visitors if it really is something that our community embraces as a whole. All of our community, not one segment, but all of our community see themselves there. So to me, these projects are can be transformational. They can also be, the waterfront along Nolan Drive is a gateway to our city. And so to me, having that be really vibrant and exciting and welcoming is going to be could be really impactful and transformational for people coming into our city to see how beautiful it is and to begin to see places that they can enjoy, places that they can utilize. So for me, I think those are all really great, but they need to be, as Dr. Anthony said, we need the community at the table, the whole community. We need to hear how people will feel welcome there. What would they like to see in those parks and those open spaces to make them want to utilize them themselves? That's going to be, it's got to be community first in these developments. So that's my take on it.
Absolutely. Matt, so I want to ask you the same, how does the city really help reimagine downtown? The city has to be a key player in this, and admittedly at times, maybe they haven't seen the value in the last few months of downtown, but how do we continue to work forward with the city, with the elected officials to say how important downtown is for our whole community, and how do we help work with elected officials and the city to reimagine the downtown, just like Dr. Anthony and Diane are bringing up, where we bring everyone into the process, as Tanya mentions in the comment. How do we get everyone involved, including the city, to reimagine?
So I think, Dr. Anthony is absolutely right. It has to be a much broader conversation than, I love having one-on-one conversations with you, Jason, to think about these things, but it has to be a much bigger group. And I think we have to ask really hard questions about who does downtown work for now? It's great if you're a professional, if you're an office worker. Downtown has worked well for visitors, it works well for students, but who doesn't it work for? It doesn't work maybe for communities of color. Downtown's expensive, so low income populations, families maybe it's not working for. And then we have to ask really hard questions about sort of what are those impediments? Is it that people think it's tough to get downtown? And is that because of parking? Is it because of transit? Like, what is causing that? What are we missing? We talked a little bit about open spaces, and Dr. Anthony talked about not having a place that is for people. So we need to figure out what are those impediments. And some of it is probably too just the feeling that it's not necessarily welcoming to everyone, that we haven't made that proactive invitation to certain people to tell them that downtown can be for you. And so it's probably all those things, and there's not one, sort of magic bullet for it. And we have to have, a larger strategy based on those conversations with that larger group.
Brenda and Tiffany, you guys both represent major groups downtown, right? Tiffany, the hotels, the retailers, and then UW, right? This important institution. How do you guys help, and what do you think we can do to reimagine downtown?
Thank you, Tiffany. I have just a couple of points. I agree with Matt. I think that it works really well for students, for example, since that's UW-Madison that I'm representing here, but not for all students, right? So in a good point that you make, not for students of color or underrepresented. So what are we missing in that sense? And I also have to, again, as I'm bringing my whole self to this conversation, when I think about the resources that we have here in this city, it is hard for me thinking about our immigrant experience, right? Where we face, tough situations. So it's hard for me to have a balance. So even bringing that conversation to the table, to make sure that we are understood and how our experience is shaping where we want to go and we want to spend time. So it's not an extra burden for us. I think Dr. Anthony mentioned that, where I don't feel like I have to work at it, right? That I have to make myself go to some places because I want to have that experience instead of being invited, or not only that, but belonging. I have been here 25 years and I'm not going to go anywhere. So I feel I hear the same from my friends and my community. So how can we make a space where we are invited at the table, but that we know that the feedback is going to be received, that is going to be transformational for all of us, not just for one group, but for all of us. We want to make sure that we are continuing to make this Madison a thriving community, and we are, all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks, Jason. I'm not worried about events coming back downtown. And I think that might be an opportunity, because I think as we talk about some of the events that used to be and some of the events that could be, I'm not really worried about that. What I am, what I'm here thinking about is all of you, when is the last time? Now, if we were at the Overture Center, the answer would be today. But when is the last time you walked on State Street? Because I think, as always is the case, perception and reality are sometimes a little off. And I do think this is a fact. There are no on State Street Black business owners, but there are a lot of colors on State Street. And it's really a vibrant place. If you hit up the 400 block, that's got so many Asian American owners, and there's a Hmong owner. It's a really interesting space. We do have some Hispanic and Latinx owners, but we need more. We need more of that. And so I think we want to make sure that we're really talking about that fairly, and that we think about what does everyone want in their downtown. I use a fun word that I learned, and my science friends will like, the brackish. Does anybody know this? This is where freshwater and saltwater meet. And I think that's part of the State Street issue. We've got campus on one end, we have government on the other, we have arts in the middle, and some of this other stuff. And I think a little bit more to Dr. Anthony's points, let's plan it a little more. Let's get people around the table. What are those other spaces supposed to be filled with? What do we want to see there? And so while I shared those numbers of closing, and they aren't good numbers, they are also opportunities. What are we going to work to put back into those spaces? And how do we do that collaboratively? And most important, how do we make sure, to the points I think everyone before me said, how do we make sure the right people are at the table? People who really care about this, who really are going to spend the time, who we also are going to make sure that we're listening to, make sure everyone's listening to as we put our downtown back together. So I want to also thank everyone who's here today, because you're committed to downtown. And I'll give you just that little bit of that challenge, though. Why don't you go walk down there sometime in the next 2 weeks, and then send me an email and let me know what you thought, okay?
That's a good idea. I'll do that immediately after this meeting, and I hope I see others do that same. We want to open it up to the questions in the Q&A. So if you've got more questions, we've got about 10 minutes left for questions. Thank you for voting up questions. So we're going to start with the highest question. What are the specific things, aesthetic, programmatic, physical, that we can do to and in downtown to raise the welcome sign for Black, Indigenous people of color? So we'll open that up to anyone on the panel. Brenda, yeah.
If I can add, I think that we have touched on some of it, but I think that really co-creating it, right? So I don't know if I have an answer of this is the way it looks. This is the way that I see it. It will look for me to feel that I belong there. But again, it's not just about one person or about one community, but let's all come together, think about how we can recreate the idea of really co-creating. And that word, I like it. I know it seems like maybe fashionable, but the reality is that we need to think about what that will look like. and holding ourselves accountable. As I see the civic plan that we have for DMI, for example, I feel that, you know, that organization is working on something, the university is working on something, so we need to come together and say, so what are the results? What exactly are the numbers that you're looking at that we can see as proof, if you will, of the work that we're doing? And again, if that doesn't work, as my friend Tanya Ibarra has mentioned in the chat, stop. Let's regroup. Let's bring the voices that we need to bring to the table, and then continue the co-creation process.
Right. And Jason, you know, the same thing. We can't get ourselves into our silos again, right? We can't go back to, I only think about destination travel. I only think about business. I don't think about this. That's our opportunity, is that we've begun these coalitions and collaborations.
Okay.
Hey, Jason. Jason, I'd like to add to this as well. You know, first, I'd like to say, you know, I kind of want to respond kind of to a comment that Tiffany made earlier, that there's a lot of diversity downtown. So we have to be careful that, you know, when we do diversity and inclusion, that African Americans are not at the back. So there's a lot of diversity down there, but there's not a lot of diversity down there or inclusion of the African Americans. So it's not acceptable to say now that, you know, we've got diversity with everybody else, but we just don't have African Americans. That's problematic for diversity today. The other thing in terms of, you know, what can we do to kind of change the downtown or to have more inclusion, I think that we have to start now with the history that we have. And so the Black Lives Matter march that happened downtown, now that's a part of Madison history now. And the art, you know, that, you know, has gone on downtown, that's a part of Madison history. And so that's the only thing that when people come to town now, they say, if you want to see something Black, well, people want to go downtown and they want to see that art. My daughter did a painting on Ian's Pizza. I want to take people down there to see that. So we have to find a way to say our new reality. And as we reinvent, you know, Madison, how can we do it now? And to, even though for, you know, the downtown, it wasn't all positive for this Black Lives Matter piece because economically it hurt, you know, but culturally it brought, you know, people downtown with interest in really being a part and expressing that they want to be included. Now, how do you build, you know, on this and move forward?
Perfect. All right, we're going to move to the next question. Tiffany, I want you to, this is probably a question directly for you. How are State Street businesses surviving?
You know, they are incredibly tenacious. They're creative. There are businesses who are trying to figure out, boutique shops, figuring out how to take themselves online. But I would say, you know, by a string, here are some things that you can do. You know, you can shop them. You can shop online. They have in-person Facebook. You can shop with them. You can call. You can email. But it's really, really tough for them. And especially, I would say, those well, it doesn't really matter especially, but the retail category is really struggling for us downtown. One of the challenges is the fact that they've always curated unique items. So they don't have deep inventory. So they don't have websites where you can order up and you can have it shipped via Amazon. So they're doing their best and they're getting creative. They're having websites. They're working on delivery. They're really trying to figure out what they can do. And so I think I saw Sue Springman, who's been a longtime BID board member in the chat, but she made the thing, you know, she listed the things that you can really do because this is our opportunity to keep those businesses there. And, you know, it's not a long list of things that you can do, but it's a pretty quick one. You can shop there. You can support them. You know, it's really, really, really a fairly easy thing to do. Tell everybody you shopped there. Wait, so here's how it goes. You figured out how to shop there. You tell your friends you did it, and you share it on Facebook. I see also in the chat, people are talking a little bit about what's happening for the BID. The BID has 3 things you could think about as ways to support downtown. We have our website, which is visitdowntownmadison.com. Pretty easy. And on there, there's a link to all of the updates. So we're telling you who's open, who's closed, who's got gift certificates for sale, who doesn't, who you can shop online with. We also are doing our own gift certificate sale. So they're $25 from about 20 different downtown businesses. I'd really love to sell those out. That's also available on our website. And then we are putting together a Downtown Madison fund. We haven't put all the details in place. We haven't done our big fundraising yet because we know it's a really hard time right now for everyone. But we've created with the Madison Community Foundation a Downtown Madison fund. And in the beginning of 2021, we'll probably be reaching out to talk with you a little bit more about that as a community and what that fund could do, because that fund is designed with great flexibility to help our downtown. So the answer is, they're okay hanging on by a thread. Please help them out. I see Peggy's telling us some easy ways to do it too. Social media shout outs mean a lot in these days. Or if you know a small business owner, send them a Facebook little, hey, hope you're hanging in there. Love your shop. That'd mean a lot.
I think, Tiffany, that's a great way to end. I think we should do that with all of our friends and family. There are so many people going through a lot right now. There's so much uncertainty in the world. So send a note to a friend, send a note to a loved one, tell them how much you care, how much you love them. Maybe that's sappy or whatever, but I think it is important. We need to be together on these issues. I cannot thank enough the whole panel, Matt Wachter, Tiffany Kinney, Brenda Gonzalez, Diane Morgenthaler, Dr. Ruben Anthony, via Madeline Plummer, who's Dr. Anthony's dancing, thanks to Madeline. We cannot thank you for being here today. I think it's important to note that these are 5 leaders that have been with us for a very long time and will continue into the future. We want all voices heard, so please come and join us. Send me an email if you want to get involved. Send us a note. Whatever we can do to bring everyone together to create a truly inclusive, equitable, and vibrant downtown is what we need to do. I also want to make sure we thank all of our sponsors for making this event possible today. But foremost, our presenting sponsor, Michael, Best, and Friedrich. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Kevin, for all you do for supporting this as well. Remember to check out our website for a copy of the State of the Downtown report. Yes, we can get you a hard copy if you need one as well, but we can also find ways to download it too. Lastly, DMI has and will continue to advocate and support for a strong and inclusive downtown Madison. There are certainly many challenges ahead, but there are also opportunities that we can reimagine a downtown to make it a better place for everyone. I hope you join us on this journey. I also hope you have a great rest of the week, and most importantly, I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Thank you all very much. We'll see you all again soon at the next event. Have a great day. Thank you.